In the remote hills of a small village in Nepal lived a wise old man named Don. His hut was humble, built of wood and straw, hidden among the dense forests and sparkling rivers. Don spent his days in silent contemplation, observing the world around him and reflecting on the cycle of life. He was known for his great wisdom and the calm that surrounded him, a calm that seemed to come from his endless contact with nature. If you too seek wisdom in nature, subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories like this one. Yet despite his outward serenity, Don had begun to feel a restlessness growing within him. It was the fear of death, a thought that, despite his years of meditation and spiritual practice, he could not dispel. Every night he sat outside his hut, looking up at the starry sky, searching for answers. He felt that the end of his life was approaching, and with it, the great mystery of death. One day, as he sat in meditation, he saw another old man named Arav arrive, a monk who lived in a monastery nearby. Arav was known for his deep serenity, a quality that seemed to emanate from him like a ray of light. Don watched him approach, and without saying a word, Arav sat down beside him. There was a silence between them, but it wasn't an empty silence. It was filled with understanding and sharing. Have you ever experienced a moment of silent understanding? Tell us about it in the comments. After a long moment, Don, without taking his eyes off the sky, spoke. Arav, how do you find peace knowing that death is so close? I cannot free myself from fear despite years of practice. It is as if my mind is trapped in a labyrinth of doubts. Arav was silent for a moment, then replied in a soft voice. My friend, death is not the end. It is simply another stage in the eternal cycle of life. Everything that exists on this earth is born, grows, matures, and finally returns to the earth to be reborn in a new form. We are no different. Your fear is understandable, but it comes from attachment to what you know. Want to learn more about how to deal with the fear of death? Stay tuned for more insightful thoughts. Don listened intently. But how can I not be afraid of losing everything I love? Every person, every experience I've had. If it's all gone away, what's the point? He asked, his voice thick with anguish. Arav turned to him with a gentle smile. Life is like a great tapestry, woven from the threads of our experiences, our sorrows and our joys. Each thread contributes to creating a unique pattern. Even when a thread is broken, the tapestry remains intact, enriched by your existence. Nothing is ever truly lost, Don. Everything you have experienced will live on within you and through those to whom you have passed on your wisdom. Remember, every thread of your journey enriches the world. Do you have an experience to share? Leave us a comment. Don took a moment to consider this, the fresh scent of the forest wafting down the wind. And yet, I can't see what lies beyond, what awaits us after we die. Arav looked into the distance toward the mountains that loomed on the horizon. We don't know what lies ahead, but we can look to the world around us for clues. Look at the trees, Don. In the fall, their leaves fall, but it is not an end. Those leaves, decomposing, nourish the earth, and in the spring, new buds bloom. The same happens with us. Our life is like a seed that after death sprouts into a new form. Death is not the end, but a passage to something greater. Do not forget that, like the leaves in autumn, every end brings with it a new beginning. Sign up now for more reflections on life and death. As Arav spoke, Don began to feel a shift within him. The fear that had plagued him for so long seemed to lift, like a burden beginning to slide off his shoulders. And how can I face death with peace in my heart? How can I prepare for this transition? Arav closed his eyes for a moment, as if pondering the right words. All you have to do is live in the present. Every day you spend is a gift, every breath a blessing. Live every moment to the fullest. Celebrate life in all its forms. And when the time comes to leave, you will do so with gratitude, knowing that you have lived fully. There will be nothing to regret, nothing to fear. Peace comes from accepting what is. Live in the present and discover how every day can be a gift. Share with us how you celebrate your life. Arav's words resonated in Don's heart. He began to observe the world around him with new eyes. The trees, which had previously been simply part of the landscape, now seemed to pulsate with life, as if they were a reflection of his own existence. The sound of the wind in the branches, the singing of the birds, the babbling of the nearby stream. Everything appeared to him with a new clarity. A few days later, as Don was walking along the path to his hut, he saw a young man sitting on a rock, deep in thought. The boy, named Lian, had often come to seek Don's advice, but lately he had seemed more silent and thoughtful. Don approached and sat down beside him. "Lian, do you have something on your mind?" The young man slowly opened his eyes. "Master, I am afraid of life. It seems so fragile, so uncertain. How can I find my way in such a changing world?" Don smiled, recognizing in Lian's words an echo of his own fears. Life is fragile, it is true, but it is also precious for that very reason. We cannot control everything, Lian. What we can do is embrace every moment, every breath, with gratitude and love. Do not try to avoid the uncertainties of life. Face them with an open heart, knowing that every challenge, every joy, and every pain is part of the journey. Are you afraid of uncertainty? Live in the present and embrace every moment as part of your journey. Write us your experience. Lian looked at the old man with eyes full of admiration. "But how can I not be afraid?" Don placed a hand on the young man's shoulder. "Fear comes from attachment to what we know. When we learn to let go, we find freedom. Life is a cycle, Lian. Nothing is permanent, but nothing is ever truly lost. Live with compassion and wisdom, and fear will dissolve like mist in the sun. Learn to let go of attachment and discover how freedom can free you from fear. Sign up now to never miss out on more valuable advice." As the sun set behind the mountains, painting the sky with golden hues, Don realized that he had found his answer. It was not necessary to know exactly what lay beyond death. It was enough to live each day with awareness and acceptance, knowing that his life was part of a greater cycle and that when the time came, he would be ready. That evening, Don sat outside his hut, looking up at the starry sky as he had done so many times before. But this time, he wasn't looking for answers. He knew that the true secret of life and death was to embrace each moment with an open heart and respect for the great cycle that connected all things. What did you learn from Don's story today? Leave a comment and subscribe so you don't miss out on more stories that inspire the heart and soul. And so, as the stars shone above him, Don closed his eyes and sank into the peace he had sought for so long, knowing that when the time came, he would face the great mystery of death with a peaceful heart, like an old friend finally calling him home.